You're tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
And let a million dead creatures walking around also begin.
Gross.
I'm ready for it. This was kind of like a finale in a lot of ways. Finale intro. But joining me this week is the lovely Joyce Ajouri.
Hello, hello. Hi, everyone.
And also lovely Nando Velasquez.
I love that I'm lovely. Thank you very much. Yes, awesome. How you guys doing?
It's that scruff.
Good.
It's that.
Good.
I know. I got a little bit of a Rick look going on.
Yeah, I was thinking like you were going through Zompocalypse as well.
I
and
guess.
you're just
You know
like,
what?
sometimes you can't just shave it off.
I do the Homeland show too, so I kind of got the Saul look for Homeland. I got the Rick look. I think it's in.
It's
Maybe it's
your
in.
method
I think it's
your
in.
method after
A
buzzing.
method after buzzing. I like that.
I just shaved for the first time like a week yesterday. I was like, I should have kept it. Should have kept it. What was I doing? And guys, I'm David Klein. Welcome back to Walking Dead after, I guess it was like more like an 8-month hiatus, 6-month hiatus.
Yeah,
now that they do like cut-off
for a
seasons.
while.
Early in the spring season. Yeah.
Yeah. So we already have people in the chat chiming in. Laura Jones saying because it was such a fast, epic episode, it really made up for that slow second half. And Baja Val totally agreeing with that. But yeah, this was really a hugely immense episode in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, this is the first time that we've seen the season premiere start moments really after the season finale. Every season premiere has usually been a new chapter, a new era. This continues. So yeah, it feels a lot. Especially with the resolution of Terminus, it felt a lot like the season finale. Like this is what you would have seen, and then the season premiere next week's episode would take place 6 months in the future. They found some new town and they've reestablished themselves, and it's almost like starting over again. But yeah, that's what I loved about it.
It was good, yeah. I mean, it was good to see the history of Terminus, like you said, just kind of see that unfold. And there was no dull moment to me in this episode.
Yeah, it was a great way to just jump into it, definitely. It was exciting. It got me back into the show immediately, so definitely a good way to do it, especially after leaving on a cliffhanger like that. But as you were mentioning, Joyce, about what we get with the history, that's how we start the show. The very beginning is finding out that Gareth is for some reason locked up, and we find out why throughout the episode is that their group had gone through some trouble.
Yeah, I love this because I think this scene and the final scene, which I'm sure we'll talk about, really just shows us what happened. And also there was a scene in the middle that talks about what Terminus really was, or it was a sanctuary.
Yeah.
It was at some point a sanctuary, but things went horribly wrong. As we know in the Walking Dead universe, because we've seen this with the governor, we've seen this with almost every single group that
Never
they eventually
fails.
meet. It's that you need to worry about the living more than the dead.
You're saying, what? Things don't, what? No.
Things don't work out. People can't
I'm
just...
Tyrese. I still have an optimistic outlook on everything.
I love it. I know you didn't agree with me, so Steve didn't agree with me, but about loving his outlook on this whole thing. How he's like, we don't have to die. No one has to die.
Oh,
we're gonna make it. We'll come back.
We'll get into that.
So,
I appreciate it.
and what we're talking about with the star Joseph Bozef saying he almost gave up on the show after last season. Glad I didn't because it was such a great episode. So let's go ahead and talk about Rick's group first because this was just an intense intro as they're ready to break out and being, as we see, like typical badass Rick's group when a little surprise goes through the ceiling for them.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. I think the really telling thing about that, they're in the trailer. We hear them. The first thing we hear really is that we see them prepping
Like the spiked brass
with
knuckles.
the spiked brass knuckles. So they're using whatever they can from the trailer, and you kind of can hear bits and pieces of them comparing notes, all these different factions, because really we haven't seen them together until the last moments of the season finale.
Yeah.
So this is their chance. They have a couple of moments to really talk about what happened. We hear about Beth getting taken away in the car with the cross on the back. We hear a little bit of Abraham talking about them when they turned on them when it came to Terminus, and we hear Rick say go for the eyes first and then the throat, which again it really just follows what happened to Rick at the very end of last season with that guy who was trying to rape Carl.
Yeah.
So this is a very, very different Rick, and it's exactly what he said at the finale. He said they're messing with the wrong people.
It's true.
Yeah, but these guys are smart. and they actually kind of knew that they would not be able to just open the doors and have them lead out. So these guys had tear gas, gas masks. Wow.
Because I mean, they've had that happen to them before, probably. So they know all the tricks. They're prepared, and they're thinking the way that those who took over Terminus before, acted towards them.
I wonder from a culinary standpoint, if you really want to gas your meat before you.
Well, it looks like they leave it to hang for a while, because first you de-blood it, and now we're finding out how they prep it. De-blood it, leave to hang for a while. But I did love how smart that was, though. To me, the writing of that part with the tear bomb or the grenade, to me that was smart writing, because it's just like, this is an actual way to make it realistic for how they could do it. I just got done watching another show, Legends, where they had just this really dumb scene of the person escaping just because they weren't handcuffed properly. It's like, come on, and this is smart writing, so I really appreciate that. But we do get the group being let out, and then they see that cannibalism in the background, essentially at work,
that
but
one
the preparation.
Out of focus shot. Yeah, a lot of people saw that at Comic-Con. It was in the Comic-Con trailer, and it made all of us that were talking about the fact that these guys are probably cannibals. It really pretty much confirmed that it was cannibals. Yeah. We also saw, it was really, I don't know if you guys paused it. We didn't see it together, unfortunately, but they had those 3 dumpsters, those troughs that said like burn, feed, and wash.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I saw there was text on those bins, but I didn't really pay attention.
Yeah, it was burn, feed, and wash.
Yeah. I mean, beyond the fact that they were very clearly cutting up body parts and the way it was like scattered on the person, it was just very obvious too.
Yeah.
But later, when we see the carcass is just hanging like cut up meats, like what you do with cattle, which is also that line from the episode.
You're either the butcher or the cattle.
Yeah. So a lot of symbolism in what they're talking about there. But as they do go into this area, we see their really gruesome method, no holds barred gore here, as they bash the person to actually kind of be kind and then slit their throats.
It's gotten so intense.
I am really surprised that they allow that on. I mean, I know it's not network TV, but still, I was amazed that they allow that on cable.
I was like, oh my God.
I mean, last season was pretty gruesome. I mean, so many, and this was talked about a lot, but like the child deaths and everything, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it's just getting even more gruesome now that I see this first episode of the season.
Well, what was really interesting to me is that one guy that was dressed more like a butcher with the baseball bat, he's just swinging away like it's a golf stroke, and you just know what he's probably going to do with it, and that alone creeped the hell out of me.
Just those implications and those illusions.
And then to see him do
terrifying.
Well, first of all, let's. I don't want to forget this, because this might be passed by. But when we see them all lined up in front of that trough, right? It's like what is that? Is that called a trough?
It's called like a urinal that you pee in at baseball games.
I guess it's wow.
That's what it's called.
That even sounds worse now. But anyway, we see them lined up, and we see Bob. I believe it's Bob, then Rick, then Daryl, then Glenn,
and then 3 red shirts.
Well, here's the thing: they weren't all red shirts. Oh, yeah? That's the thing. The first guy, you saw that extra close-up of the first guy, the blonde-haired guy?
Yeah.
That was Sam from last season.
Yeah, from last season.
Okay. That was Sam and Anna. Yeah, Sam disappeared. Anna was the one with the bum leg, with the leg. Yeah.
Rick gave him his watch so that he knew what time it would be when they came back.
Oh, wow. I didn't even notice that.
That was Sam.
Incredible.
So, yeah, that was Sam, and he was the first one to go, obviously. That's why there was that big look between him and Rick.
That's a great
right there. But here's another interesting thing. The actor who plays Sam is Robin Lord Taylor. Yeah. And he is playing Oswald Cobblepot. So he's
actually have a Gotham superstar over here.
Oh, you're on the panel.
Yeah.
Too.
I was so excited to see him.
I took away. I should let you say that.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
But that was just really, really awesome. That was a nice little callback to last season. It was just in one episode last season, and he tweeted out actually too. I saw him tweeting out about his appearance, that he's finally gone. The mystery of Sam is over. That he's dead.
Yeah, I just kind of assumed he was dead, but now it's confirmation, 100%.
That Sam is dead. Yes, absolutely.
Slitting the throat, usually a final blow.
Yeah, usually. Unless they're trying to do something different.
I would say it is. Yeah.
So my question to you guys, do you think the baseball bat was just to knock them out, or was that to kill them so they don't turn into walkers afterwards?
That's our producer, Stephen Lemieux.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of overkill. I don't think it's to knock them out so they don't become walkers.
I thought it was a kindness. That's what I took it as, was a kindness, so that way when they slit the throat, it's not like...
It was oddly humane.
It was like a backward kindness.
I actually took it as like a slight humanity.
Yeah.
But that is a good point, because I was thinking that too, like how do they prevent these dead meat from becoming walkers? And maybe that is the method for doing that.
And I will say that first shot when he hit Sam, like a part of me was thinking, it was a really big gross out moment. I almost felt like if this was 3D TV, if this was was a 3D TV, I would really be grossed out because it was like in your face. That was an in your face gross out moment.
And I'm squeamish enough, and seeing this, I'm just like, oh god, I can't. How can I handle this?
And this is like one of the goriest episodes so far, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I mean, outside of maybe the torture scene with Michonne, but like this was up there. Baja Val's on the chat saying that she agreed with you. She noticed that with Sam, Nando. Laura Jones was on my team not noticing, so
that's fine. It was kind of subtle, and to be honest, I mean, yeah, it's something I think for the super fans who may be paying a lot of attention to. At first, I kind of saw the close up, so it took me a second to realize it was Sam. So it's all good.
Just his hair gave it away.
Yeah. But lots of little moments there. We'll talk about more of it later on, but lots of little moments in that scene besides Sam.
I like that we also got, as Rick keeps on like getting his shank ready, we seen multiple shots of just the wood being chipped off the side of the train car that they're stuck in.
Yeah.
So that's constantly been built up to. So it's just kind of like a brief shot of it, but you know exactly where it came from. So I appreciate that.
I love that. That was perfect editing. That was a perfect setup.
Can I just say that I'm taking notes from this show in case there is an apocalypse? Now I know how to brandish weapons and make them really dangerous.
You didn't know this was this was really a
just take notes, everybody.
This was a how-to show.
I actually found out the perfect method from Jenna Marbles on the radio. Just set up a bunch of treadmills outside your house going the wrong direction. So any walker that comes up your house, just
as long as you have electricity.
Exactly. As long as you have electricity,
it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was pretty hilarious.
Just get generators. Just stock up on those.
But but I know we're about to get into it. But you know, we obviously see the red shirts. Even Sam is kind of a red shirt, even though we kind of recognize him. And it's just so convenient to see the red shirts all lined up first, and they go pretty darn fast.
And then Glenn, and then Glenn keeps on getting saved as we get to this moment where we get Gareth coming in and wanting to chat with Rick about this bag, the weapon bag.
Well, before Rick, he came in really to find about the shot count.
Well, yeah,
from the other guy.
Shot count. Yeah, it's just business as usual.
It was very, it reminded me kind of Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah.
Like it's like these guys might be evil and they might be doing all this stuff, but they also have normal office conversations in the middle of it.
Yeah, it was very off-putting.
Well, he's like, this is just the cattle. This is my food.
This is like, what we do.
The livestock.
They pretty much treated them like that. Yeah. Even when Bob was trying to convince them, we could fix this. We got a guy who's going to D.C. He's just like, yeah, you can't fix this. Yeah, the world's not coming back. No, you're gone.
Yeah.
So
in that moment, it's just like, Bob, shut up. That means you're going to be next.
Yeah.
Very much, at least the feeling that I know Joyce and I got.
Oh, yeah. I was like, please don't die. Please don't die. I really like him. We need a doctor on this team.
Well,
he's not a very good. Well, keep the alcohol away from him. And doctor.
He wasn't an alcoholic this episode, so that's one.
Yeah,
day
one
by day, episode by
Yeah.
episode for Bob. I mean, this was just all great setup. Just because, I mean, first of all, we saw those guys go really, really fast, and like you said, Glenn was about to go, and all of a sudden Gareth comes in asking about a shot count. It wasn't just once, but it was twice that this guy just had his bat wound up, ready to smack Glenn, and stopped.
I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, no.
And there were a lot of comments about this from the Comic-Con trailer, because they showed some of this scene from the Comic-Con trailer, and people thought that Bob was actually dead, was going to die this episode, because there was a clip where they saw Gareth getting really close to Rick talking about, I guess, the bag or whatever, and because Bob was kind of hunched over, they thought Bob was dead. So there was a lot of that too. So there was a lot of tension between the whole Glenn thing, because there's a lot going on with the Glenn thing and the Bob, which I loved. I just loved being on the edge of. I could not believe I was screaming at my TV for that whole scene.
That's also what a scene to show at Comic-Con too. Like this gory. It's almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre-ish, like of a scene like that typical horror movie scene that you would see, except for it was much more subtle in this than I don't know, then you see like a horror movie where they really build everything up.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, it's just a matter of fact thing for how these people live.
I feel like in a weird way, the fact that they, have killed off so many major characters or characters that we've connected to so quickly, kind of puts them at an advantage in terms of keeping us on the edge of our seats, because we're like, okay, this is a main character. Like, they're obviously going to kill him off at some point. But then when we feel like they're going to and they don't, that's what makes it really...
I think last season, didn't all the major characters survive?
Yeah.
Last season, that was like the first time really that it happened.
Well, it's still been no, because Herschel didn't.
Herschel didn't survive.
Because Herschel didn't, and that was really a big cliffhanger. How everyone else reacted to that. So that was really big. But we kept saying that. I kept saying Sasha and Bob were going to die, and they never did. So.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Like, you think it's going to happen, but it's not.
Yeah, it keeps you on the edge.
No, it's definitely good that they do that, because otherwise most shows you're just like, well, it's really in the back of your mind. No one can die. So just to wrap this scene up real quick, as Rick finally kind of breaks in a way about what's in the bag with the knife at Bob's eyeball. He instead says, "That's what I'm going to use to kill you," with the badass line. And that is when an explosion comes, and you don't know what it is. So let's move over to other Survivor team, where we see Carol and Tyrese with Judith, as they are actually also heading over to Terminus. And this is slightly before all this had happened, as a Walker swarm shows up.
Yeah. Well, this was one of the big question marks from the season finale. We never saw what happened to Carol and to Tyrese, because their storyline, for the most part, ended before the season finale. So they were a big question mark, as is Beth, which is still a question mark at this point. But so they're heading to Terminus, which we knew they were going to do. It was just a matter of if they arrived there first or not. I remember we were saying we thought they might have been in that other trailer that we remember from the season finale. But what I loved about this was, well, first of all, Tyrese is still shaken up over everything that happened last season. With the kids dying.
It's taking him a little longer to kind of harden than the rest of them.
He can't kill a zombie, which is very, very interesting.
He just doesn't like it.
He doesn't like. He's just not ready to do it yet. But what I thought was really, really hilarious about this scene.
We also have his rage moment last season where he just went insane.
Well, we see his. We see it again later on. But what I thought was really awesome, he can't kill that one zombie. So Carol, who has the baby, hands Judith off to Tyrese. So you see this big, enormous, muscular, strong black guy holding a little itty bitty baby, and Carol's like rolling her eyes, like, I'll take care of this. And she's just like doing all the killing. She's got all the weapons. She's the badass, and he's like the nanny.
That's why he's the big teddy bear.
I love him.
Big teddy
he's
bear.
One of my favorites.
It's hilarious. It just shows how odd this couple is, in a way that Carol's the badass, as we definitely see. Carol's the badass, and Tyrese is like the little lamb.
It's like his attitude is juxtaposition with his appearance. Oh
yeah, absolutely.
So they keep on calling the trail as all these gunshots draw away the horde and towards what they assume is Terminus. So they head over in that direction, where they find, I believe his name was Martin, who's hiding with fireworks. Was that his name?
I didn't catch his name.
I'm not sure, but I think you're right.
Because that's what sounded like we heard on the radio, but we weren't positive. So sorry.
Correct us if
sorry.
we're wrong.
Guy with the Detroit Tigers hat.
On the live chat, if you guys know, and if they're wrong. Yeah.
The guy with no friends. He just hangs out with assholes.
Yeah, he has no friends, just assholes.
Yeah.
He's a toilet seat. That's why. Aww. It's that joke. He led himself to that own joke. So
yeah, he did.
They come up to him, and they see everything that's there, which was this cache of equipment, and kind of have the foresight to tie him up and throw him in the house and find out what's going on, where they realize he's with Terminus Group, and Carol decides to go off on her own towards Terminus Group. And
again, it's like we see again, he even sees this guy Martin, whoever is, sees like that Carol's the badass and Tyrese is like the nanny taking care of Judith, and he's totally playing mind games with Tyrese.
Really? You're taking care of a baby?
Yeah. Is that your baby?
Yeah.
And wow, I mean, I didn't have a chance to look up the actor, but I mean, he played it really, really well. I loved his character.
That's also some you gotta be really confident to go with that type of stuff. Like really, he's tied up. There's this huge dude there who has the advantage, and he's just digging into him anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he knows he can. He can sense Tyrese's, attitude right off the bat.
All right, Baha Valsar is saying yes, his name was Martin, so thank you.
Thank you.
Cool.
It's just want to make sure that's right, because that's what I was writing the whole time.
Got it.
So as Carol heads off on her own, she finally does something that everybody should always do for anyone who watches this show, which is all of you guys, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Finally, someone
is using that defense method.
Cover yourself in blood.
Why haven't more people done that this entire series?
Has it? Yeah. I mean, I couldn't remember. I know that I feel like there was another time besides season one, besides what was it, the second episode?
There was another time they did it, but
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Well, there's that was how Michonne had been surviving somewhat.
With her two boyfriend
Well, she had the two,
dudes.
But she also did that because we were commenting when
I think there was a point where she had blood on her as well, or I don't know. There's definitely another point though. Maybe. You are absolutely right.
Because we were commenting when they were using the zombie as a pet, leading them, that we thought why don't you just put put zombie guts on you? But
finally,
yes.
Thank you, Carol.
Move over,
Carol,
Michonne and Daryl.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Carol is the shiz.
But that's
episode.
so awesome. Oh my God,
Yeah.
she's so badass in this episode.
Oh yeah, totally. So she ends up reaching the compound at this point, and she sees the group gagged and dragged away. So she decides to set up shop, use the sniper rifle to survey the scene, the scope from that, and decides to just go for it. Why not just blow up a giant gas canister and, with their bottle rockets?
That's what you gotta do when you see a gas can. You just gotta shoot it.
She's got really good aim and also really good timing for Glenn.
Seriously.
Really good timing.
Yeah.
Also amazing aim.
Conveniently laid out for
She
her.
just, it seemed really casual as she put that firework down there, and yet it hit its mark.
Yeah.
So, totally hit its mark.
So I'm that guy, KG, on the chat saying, I guess we all know who the moral compass is for this season. It's going to be Glenn, as he said, is who we are. So that definitely could be the case.
Yeah,
so finally then we get back, and we'll go ahead and now split up a little bit more as we go to the post-explosion. But we get, with Martin, him saying that whole line about, I don't have any friends, just assholes, and just him really digging in. So, and also saying that, keep really digging, telling Tyrese that him and Judith are going to die. So that's a pretty big dig at that point. That's when you'd think that Tyrese would just be like, nope, and just end it. But
But really, Tyrese is showing himself as an incredibly vulnerable person. I mean, really, I think, and also it goes to show you who the people have been who have been traveling, who have been visiting Terminus before.
Yeah.
These are people who, again, you're either the butcher or the cattle. So this guy Martin is surprised that he's being left alive, or at least this guy's not. Tyrese isn't even taking the car and going.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
a big surprise.
Guest 757 saying Carol had her badass boots on tonight.
Yeah,
Totally.
did.
And
Absolutely.
they're gonna stay on.
I
'Cause they're
assume
cute.
so. All right, so let's go ahead and break up a little bit now for the groups now that we're after post-explosion. So first thing we'll talk about are the people stuck in the prison, which would be like Eugene, Abraham, Carl, Maggie, which is the most important, and all that crew, as they're starting to, and Sasha specifically, starting to really question Eugene about the cure and what is it, and he's kind of just either blowing smoke or just not wanting to explain.
Oh, yeah.
So what did you guys take away from that?
I mean, I don't know. Go ahead. You go first.
Well, I mean, look, with Eugene, here's the thing. I'm trying to find the right way to say this without
being spoilery.
overtelling anything at all. But I think the thing that everyone can come out with Eugene is he's just weird.
Yeah.
He's very, very weird, and he doesn't come across like a government official. I mean, he's a guy with a mullet, kind of out of shape, has no social skills, and he doesn't want to, and he doesn't want to reveal his hand at all. And he even says, I could formulate some step-by-step instructions with illustrations and give you an FAQ, and yet the cure would die with me.
Even if I go Red Ring. You
And even with the Red Ring thing, he keeps on throwing video game terminology too.
Which that was interesting too. Yeah, what kind of government official throws out Red Ring? That's an Xbox term.
That's true. He could be not legit.
Also, who even uses that term anymore? God.
That's like so.
Now that the Xbox One is out, jeez.
That's so 2011.
That's the main
Look,
thing.
they're in the apocalypse. What else does he know? He doesn't know anything else.
Yeah,
has time to
360
think
was
about-
4 years ago.
Who has time to think about video games right now?
Obviously Eugene, because he's gonna Red Ring.
Obviously him. So yeah, so Sasha, I kind of get the idea that Sasha's curious about this guy, wants to know. I mean, he talks a mean game, but then when he's being called to talk about this, he won't talk about it.
I mean, in last season, and I remember this because I binge watched it this past weekend, but Eugene was talking to Abraham when we first got introduced to the two of them, and he was like, you kind of get the sense that he's kind of an idiot because he can't work a gun, but afterwards, like, you hear him talk, and he talks all this, he talks really intelligently, blah, blah, and he told Abraham, like, I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe he is blowing smoke, but he's doing it so that they won't kill him for whatever reason, if, down the line that it comes to that.
Or he just has the best bodyguard effort, someone like Abraham.
That's true, but
So it's like his protection almost.
He does say that if the doors were to open, he does not have the ability to fight He doesn't have. He lacks the ability to fight. I wrote it down.
In order to keep them close and to keep them around him and not, let him die with the rest of them.
Oh yeah.
He's probably using that, to his advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether or not he does know the cure.
So Tiger Version X on the chat saying the issue with Eugene is that he is a mystery while still also actively helping them, so they do kind of give him a pass. I don't know, when you accidentally shoot your own car and all that, that's actively helping.
Wait. I wrote this down because I thought it was really funny. He wrote down that he wasn't fleet of foot and he wrote he couldn't fight, but he ended that sentence with hella competence. Yeah, I can't really do anything with hella competence. Yeah, again, like
hella is also a term from a long time ago. That's like.
Do you like?
Well, hella. I also remember hella from South Park.
Well, that's exactly what I think too.
Cartman was saying hella over and over again.
Yeah.
And it was like, you're being a jerk. So, but he does mention. I think the important thing to.
But he says he was part of the human. He finally says a little bit. He was part of the Human Genome Project, which was a 10-person team. And that basically, like, what they're going to do is fight fire with fire and essentially take out all the walkers. So it's not necessarily, it sounds like it's not necessarily a cure per se, but they're going to take out the dead.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to be an issue for those who are still living.
Yeah, I mean.
What does he exactly mean by that?
It's like, I guess, like, it sounded like it was supposed to be like a disease for the disease was what I picked up.
Pathogenic microorganism.
Yeah, pretty much having diseases fight other diseases. So I guess it's which is weird. It's like having viruses fight other viruses.
Right.
To defeat other viruses.
It's like this is a virus that will affect the walkers and kill the walkers.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
what I took away from it.
That's what I took too.
So
and all you have to do is bite the walkers and they get infected.
Yeah, right.
And then you get infected at the same time, but that's cool because then this will take care of you.
Yeah.
Hashtag lag.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that guy says Eugene's just misunderstood. He's the social awkward friend we all have. So he definitely does come across that way, but it's still questionable. It's like, is he telling the truth or not? And that's something that we'll hopefully find out. But let's go ahead and move on to Rick's crew as the explosion occurs. And at that moment, Rick ends up first we get Gareth getting out to see what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And as the guards are arguing with each other, Rick uses the opportunity to use his shank to untie himself and then just take out the guards and leave them to become walkers.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Like, nah, just leave it. It's all good.
Hey, as long as they escaped.
Yeah, and that's when we get to see really all the very obvious this is a cannibal place type of stuff that they end up walking through and not really even commenting on, but it's just I think that also informs Rick's mindset too as they're going through, as he says, don't hesitate to kill them because they won't hesitate to kill us. So absolutely, as he sees that, he's like, that's the mindset to have.
I wonder what constitutes feed and burn and whatever the other bin said.
Wash.
I wonder what constitutes the carcass as feed.
I'm guessing
like
kind of
part of the body.
Yeah, I don't know what part, but I just assume kind of like a farmer or like a butcher uses every part of the animal that they butcher.
Yeah.
That this was their way of taking advantage of this. Yeah, that's the way I looked at it.
Let's just figure out cannibalism, and we'll have a big discussion about how to do it for all of you guys at home who are considering that lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's the new fad diet.
Exactly.
No, thank you.
That's if you want those six-pack abs. That's the way to do it.
Six-pack abs? Okay, maybe
All
I'll
right,
think
cannibalism.
About it. Maybe I'll think about
new
it.
diet.
All right.
Goes with the new no gluten thing. Instead, now it's becoming a cannibalism.
Oh God.
So no gluten in that. All right. So Glenn wants to save these prisoners, and then he has this great line, which is, as Rick doesn't want to, as they see this group, Glenn's like, that's still who we are. It's gotta be. So like, very much like, we need to make a distinction that we're not these monsters that we're trying to run away from, and everyone else we've seen, we've got to be still the moral good guys.
I feel like that's going to be the question throughout the entire season. Like, they're going to kind of seesaw between the two, choices that they have. Like, should we go the route that we've been going this whole time and be the good people that we think we are, or should we just kind of become these animals that we so despise? I think that's going to be something that we're going to see them struggle with throughout this season.
I think it's possible, but I love, you read it already from the chat room. Somebody had a comment already about Glenn being the moral compass. And, and, totally see that. I love that line when Rick was going to use that one trailer with trapped people to distract the zombies, and he said, no, we got to let those people out because that's still who we are, and it's got to be.
Yeah.
That was the exact line. And again, seeing that as opposed to Rick wanting to kill everybody and everything, and we see that a little bit later on toward the end of the episode, which I'll bring up later. But yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah, and I think it definitely is good to make that distinction. And I mean, we've kind of been seeing, not only in this season, but just throughout multiple seasons of like, how do you, like, what's a monster? Are you a monster? Like, do you have to be a monster to live in this world? And that's constantly been a battle throughout the entire show, really, as opposed to maybe just one season. On the chat, I'm that guy saying that the biggest punishment and disrespect in the world is just leaving them there, the dead to turn. Yeah, which I think absolutely is. We'll see with Carol too. That's true.
Although we do see them open up that trailer, and then that crazy guy comes out.
Oh yeah, the crazy guy. Yeah.
We're the same. We're the same.
Like, no, bruh.
Yeah. No. And he had it's just a quick 2 lines,
Very
and
quick.
that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I was trying to think, like, when he was streaming We're the Same, is it because he thought that these were like the cannibal group, so he's trying to just be like, keep me alive, like, don't kill me.
That's what I thought.
Because that's probably what it was. But
I thought he was trying to. That was his way of defending himself.
But very, very quickly picked off. And then we move on with the group doing what they do best, which is kind of working together, as I feel like, because we've seen that they know each other. And then Rick, total badass, just taking out one person with a machine gun and taking out a huge group of Terminus.
I loved seeing him act out like that. That was the Rick I wanted to see.
And even right before that, he almost bought it with that one zombie, and Daryl came in to rescue him. That was pretty cool. That was another little like jump moment.
Oh, the one that snuck up behind him.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Well, that's where I was thinking, like, that teamwork aspect of, like, they know how to cover each other.
Yeah, but that was like another jump-worthy moment in the episode that I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, really smart move from Rick, just gunning down everybody with that last guy.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also, well, never mind. I don't know what I was going to say, so we'll move on. So let's go ahead and move on to Rick wants to kill them all, as you said. Like, he wants to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And he ends up actually saving this the group, the Eugene group and all them. So they end up, and we have Carl, like, believing in them, and everyone else kind of decides that they agree that they believe in Rick. And Rick comes and lets them out of the train and ends up leaving. So they all end up getting to make it and survive as they let the train group out. So I think that kind of concludes Rick's group, if I'm not mistaken.
That includes,
Pretty
I guess,
much.
them. Yeah, once they reunite with the trailer.
Up to
people,
which we'll get to the reunion after they get the trailer out. So with that, then we can go ahead and talk about Carol in this situation and everything that's happening, where she snipes a guard. She ends up, like, hiding and finding everyone's equipment and supplies. And then after that is the kind of showdown with Mary, which is the grill lady, if you guys don't remember. From
she was the one who welcomed the first group that came back into Terminus. She was the one that welcomed them.
Yeah.
With her.
When they had their public
with
face
her meal.
on. Yeah, with their meal. When they have their
nasty meal.
I think they called it the public face. I think that's what Gareth called it earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Public face.
So she's in this room, and they're in that weird memorial candle room as they start to have a showdown. And I like Carol's move here, which was pretty badass, as she's told to turn around and drop her weapons. She instead just turns around shooting, which is great. Carol again, badass boots.
Yeah. Like, why would you listen to Mary? Why would anyone listen to Mary?
We got to see her in a scrap too. It was really, I mean, she couldn't really take down Gareth, so give her the older lady, I guess, maybe to have that little scrap with. I mean, I think she could take down some other people, but I think it was give her somebody else that's a little bit more her size and stature. So, but a really badass thing.
Oh, okay. So from Tiger. Version X, he's saying that on Talking Dead they talked about We're the Same guy. I think they had Scott Gimple on, so
yeah, Scott Gimple and Conan O'Brien were on that. Yeah.
Being that Scott Gimple is the head of the show right now, he's the showrunner. That's probably a good guy to listen to. He said We're the Same guy was the guy that the Terminus people retook Terminus from. Oh. So he says, yeah, I'm sure he heard what they were doing and became so. They did become the same. So that's what that guy was.
Oh wow, interesting.
So thank you for that heads up.
That's really good insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, how easy, like, a lot of times when they do that stuff, you can pretty much tell just by watching. But that one, I went to.
But we don't. Unfortunately, we see the episode and come straight in here, so we do not have a chance to do talking.
Yeah.
I know we get comments on that sometimes, and we end up watching it after. But
we literally watch the show and immediately come here so we can talk about it right away.
I know, like, on the East Coast, at least you guys can see it. So yeah, feel free. We'd love to hear that.
It's also so we can live stream with you guys right afterwards. That would be why. So
yeah.
9 p.m. Pacific time. Come join us on the live stream because you've heard us interacting with the chat.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what that is. But yeah, so Carol, like I said, I love that smooth move from her, and then we get her having a little conversation with Mary, and Mary talking about, this is the first time we hear that line of, you're either at least I believe it is, you're the butcher or the cattle.
Yeah.
And she talks about that. Or did we hear it before
I think we heard it. The
guy with
we might have heard it at the beginning. No?
Was the guy with
Tyrese?
Tyrese?
At the end. It was at the end then.
We hear it again.
I heard Gareth say it again to Mary when they were showing the flashback.
Right, but there's a flashback at the end of the episode.
That was at the end of the episode, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where she picked up the line from.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, those are only 2 times I heard that line in the episode.
Okay, because there were definitely like
think.
references to it about butchering a cattle and all that.
It was
okay.
Gareth at the very end. It was Gareth at the very end again. But you know, besides that,
Just so you could have been one of us.
I definitely want. Yeah, that was pretty big too.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about that room because we definitely tried to overanalyze that room at the season finale when we were talking about it, but we had no idea what these things meant. Like they had names of people on the floor. We actually thought some of them might be writers or cast members, and it said never again, never trust, and we first. And now all of a sudden, thanks to that flashback scene and even what Mary's saying there, it makes so much more sense.
Right, it probably is a memorial too to all the people that they lost during that, because again, the never again and all that stuff. So
and it's you know, it's like who they became as a result of that. So I think it's a really symbolic room to even have that interaction with Carol,
especially for Mary to be hiding in that room too and still acting on who she became. But man, you could have been one of us. One of us.
I know.
No thanks.
And Carol, I mean, if you look at her character arc, she came from an abusive relationship with her husband, and she was like the person who's changed probably the most. So like,
I think so
telling.
too.
As she lets Mary get eaten.
Yeah.
Last season it was kind of her spiel to Rick, where she was like, I never thought I could be the strong one, and here she is like completely taking over and you know, making sure, or you know, distracting everyone so that everyone else can leave.
Yeah,
get out. Rick
absolutely.
And the team.
Yeah. But I do love to see the death of Mary. You just brought up that she had the zombies pretty much. You know, again, kind of like you don't deserve to die like with a shot to the head. You deserve
like
to
you
be.
deserve to be one of them.
Which I think is great. Absolutely fantastic.
That's true. It's like the worst way to go at this point.
Yeah. So the other group that we have, or the other, I guess not group, the other people we have to talk about is Tyrese now in this situation as he sees the explosion and his point of view with Martin. And that's when Tyrese is saying that nobody's got to die today, and Martin ends up in this distraction as walkers come, or making a run for Judith and threatening to kill Judith if Tyrese doesn't back down.
Yeah.
Who could just have quickly shot him or something like that.
Yeah, he could have totally popped him in the head.
Wow, that was such a very scary moment too. I mean, first of all, it's like, whoa, Tyrese, you know, obviously this guy and Carol didn't do a good job tying this guy up.
Oh, yeah.
And he even tied up, because I think he still had
he
his
still
hands
had the rope
bound.
on his hands.
Yeah.
He still had enough to go in there and reach around to Judith's neck and threaten to twist it.
Once a little baby, you don't
Holy
need that
crap.
much, really. But
but
terrible job timing him up.
And what can Tyrese do? I mean, he threatens Tyrese and tells him to go outside where the zombies were.
So Laura Jones saying that the whole line, it's more like eat or be eaten. But I guess when you say butcher or cattle, that sort of is.
Eat or be eaten.
Yeah, that is what butcher or cattle really ends up being, is a butcher eats a cattle.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Eat or be
That's
eaten.
what I figured.
Yeah, so Tyrese goes outside, and then he just goes into his rage mode. You'd assume
rampage.
we don't get to see it, but we see the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
I love that we could hear it just go quiet.
Yeah. And that's when
When he's
Martin
done
gets
with
a little
them.
bit worried.
Kind of hulked up.
Yeah, he did. He totally
hulked
did.
up.
Yeah, because we see one is like somehow gotten its neck impaled on, or like head impaled on a spike outside.
Yeah.
So he obviously must have like grabbed it and shoved it onto it, which is pretty awesome.
Well, I mean, if there's one person who could survive, like, close quarters with the zombies, it's Tyrese when he's on full-on Hulk mode.
He didn't even have a hammer this time.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's true. He had nothing on him.
But, he cares a lot about that baby. And, to him, that baby means a lot.
Oh, of course.
So Martin makes a call for Cynthia during this moment, and no response. So things are looking good, and that's when, as he goes to open the door, we just get Tyrese tackling him and just punching him to death as he screams, "I won't." Maybe like saying like I won't isn't like I won't kill another human, so he's just punching
Or
him.
I won't die.
Or I won't die. Yeah.
What Martin says before, first of all, Tyrese tackles him and has a knife to his throat.
Right.
And then Martin says, that's how it works.
Right, and then he says, I won't.
Yeah, so that was like Martin saying, see, you have to kill. I almost feel like what Martin was, it was mind games, obviously, but it was also like, dude,
Let's be real.
Let's be real. You have to kill me. You're going to have to kill me or you're going to die. And it was almost like that one little moment of defiance. Like, I don't know if it was a mind trick. Like,
well, no, it definitely was, and that's what they built it up to be. But he ends up killing him anyway,
Yeah,
saying I won't, and beating him to death, which is just, I mean, no, I'm fine because it's more brutal. Like, good, like make him suffer. I'm really dark.
Well,
cool.
again, Tyrese is not 100%. Even though he might have protected Judith in that moment, he's still not 100% back to normal.
No way.
I'm that guy says hashtag Tyrage, and Tiger version X saying, so if the group ever needs to get Tyrese moving, just threaten Judith.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all you need to do.
Totally.
Yeah.
So that I think wraps up, kind of that storyline with that. So we get that Rick kind of busts out that group then. So kind of with the aftermath, he busts out the group. Now he gets in a couple nice slices. And the double-sided Darth Maul blade from Michonne.
I freaking want that thing.
That's what I wrote it as, was double-sided Darth Maul blade.
Yeah.
Because that's what it made me think of.
That's a pretty bad.
Because she doesn't have a samurai blade, so she has to make some sort of blade.
Yeah.
That's not double-sided.
So such an awesome weapon.
Yeah, that was pretty sick. And as they get out, Rick wants to go back and kill them all. And Stephen had a great comment while we were watching that it's got to be because of the governor and him remembering what happened with the governor, since they didn't kill and take out the governor and finish it. That came back to bite them in the ass big time.
No, that's a great comment. I agree. I can agree with that.
So it definitely like gives more humanity to him, because it makes him seem almost inhumane in this moment if you don't get that background reference for why he's thinking that.
Yeah.
So
No, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, so I think that's a great call, Stephen, in the booth.
Yeah.
If he's being
I was like waiting for you to be like, yeah, that was all me. And then that's when they see Carol again, and Carol comes over, and also the whole group disagreeing with him. None of the group wants to go back.
Well, I think that's a very telling. That's a perfect moment for Carol to show up, because really Carol was somebody that was banned from the group by Rick.
Yeah.
And if Rick really had everything black and white, the way he's thinking right now, like we got to go back, who knows what would have happened to Carol when he got rid of her? I mean, she killed 2 people on her own, and he could not live with that. He banned her, but he couldn't kill her. But if he saw everything as black and white, Carol would be dead. And here she comes back. This is like the redemption of Carol. She came back like from the heavens and rescued everybody.
Yeah.
So if anything, if there's one case as to why Rick shouldn't do that, it's standing right in front of him at that moment.
Yeah.
And
But I also think he always understood Carol and her motives and why she did what she did. And that's another reason why he didn't want to kill her, because he knew that there was some justification behind it that made sense. I don't know.
We also, there's also the fact that she saved everybody. That's also a pretty good,
like
reason
she started all that commotion.
But again, she saved. But that's why she saved everybody. But if Rick, let's say Rick killed her or really punished her, in that way, because I think there was some tension last season that he might do that. I mean,
then they wouldn't be alive.
She wouldn't be. Yeah, she wouldn't redeem herself in this way. So I think if anything, it's a perfect case that not everything's so black and white.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great point.
Do you guys think Carol makes it through this season? Because my view on this is that watching this episode, what she did was just so badass that I don't think they're gonna give her another amazing scene like that unless it's dying to save somebody.
Yeah, I think she'll live.
I don't know. I kind of have her marked down to live for a while. But here's another thing too to think about, because we haven't really explored Rick with Tara yet, because Rick saw Tara with the governor.
Yeah.
When the group all split up.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If everything's all black and white and you're either with us or against us, he hasn't dealt with Tara yet. He hasn't had much time to really work or deal with Tara. So I don't know if maybe that's something for predictions, but I think that's another case of you're going to have to sometimes trust people that at one point in time you were against.
Mm-hmm.
We also get on the chat, everyone, like Baha Val saying, Daryl running to embrace Carol. Beautiful. Heart. All right, maybe I exaggerated the way I said beautiful.
Yeah,
well, Carol is back.
I think she will make it. I think she will stay alive, at least for a big portion of this season. But then again, it's The Walking Dead. Who knows if she's gonna go next episode, which would be very upsetting.
She's also the one who leads Rick away, though, from like this whole thing of saying you have to come with me, and she's the one who ends up leading them to Tyrese and Judith as well. But she's the one who brings them out of this decision that they have to make, in a sense. Even though everyone was disagreeing with Rick, it's still like she presented an alternative immediately.
Yeah.
So she did present that as well, where they head over and Rick finally sees Judith again for the first time since the separation. So
that was a big
huge scene.
First we see Daryl and Carol back, and as they call them Carol, but with a different spelling. Is that how you say it? Caryl, Carol? That's they do hashtag. There are hashtags that say like Carol, but you see that, and then you see Rick finally with Judith after what I think 8 episodes.
Yeah,
that totally countered all of the gore and terribleness I saw in this episode. That one moment, I was just like, this is why I watched this episode.
Everyone all together except for Beth, but everyone all together.
And then we see Tyrese with Sasha for a minute too. It wasn't as big as the other 2 reunions, but it was still big.
Especially given
love there.
Yeah,
but it's also especially given like Sasha's like entire thoughts from last season too.
Yeah.
So that the fact that like she finally got to see him again. So
Yeah.
that's really big. So, and then Eugene was kind of like giving them a weird look. I don't know, like almost looked like he was jealous to me. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Abraham's like guarding on the side, and so is Tara. But then like Eugene's just there watching him, like I want to be part of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's still socially awkward. He's got everybody with him because of his brains.
All right, so Baja have letting us know that Carol with a Y is the ship name for Daryl and Carol.
Yeah. No, it is a ship name. Yeah.
So there you go. Well,
I just don't know how you can pronounce it without.
Right.
It sounds
Caril.
Caril. But you don't say Daryl.
Caril.
Daryl.
Daryl.
Just pronounce it completely different.
We'll just say like Daryl, who's not here today, but yeah.
You also see what's his name, Abraham, and what's the girl's name that he's with? Rosalita talking about, oh, should we tell him now? Oh, we'll tell him later.
Right.
So what do you guys think that's talking about?
I think it was because the fact that Rick doesn't know yet about this whole plan. I thought it was just to tell the leaders about their plan to go with Eugene. That's what I took it as.
Well, I think if we look at this episode, Rick and Carol and Daryl, all of them come to the rescue. You know, and the rest of the group, for the most part, without that trio of Abraham, Rosalita, and Eugene, look to Rick as the leader.
Right.
So, but Abraham's on a mission.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, even though he's ready to leave everybody else behind, Eugene doesn't want to. We saw that last season with Eugene refusing to leave Glenn and Maggie behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think what we're seeing is a precursor to possibly a alpha dog type battle between Abraham and Rick. You know, as far as trying to see where the group gets to go.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it was we'll talk to him, not just yet. I thought it was in reference to Rick about specifically that, where the group goes and Eugene and all that storyline.
Yeah.
That's what I took it as. We get Rick then wiping out the Terminus sign that now it says no sanctuary. So fixing one of them.
Title.
Yeah.
No sanctuary.
Although they only got one sign.
Yeah. They have like 20 more to go.
But it's the sign probably closest to Terminus.
Yeah.
So, you know, people keep walking, and then all of a sudden it's like, no sanctuary. And then they probably do a little Charlie Brown walk back wherever they came from.
They moonwalk backwards.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Am I the only one just feeling really sorry for anyone who's still trapped in those train boxes?
Well, you know, what we didn't really talk, and I guess we could talk about that, is that Gareth kind of got a parting shot on, you know, when they were escaping. I thought I saw Gareth.
He got nicked.
He got nicked.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why he kind of didn't go after them. So we still see that there are people in Terminus besides the train car. So yeah, I would feel sorry for the people in the train cars.
But I mean, we don't know how many are left, and there's also still walkers attacking them. So we kind of assume that like just their numbers are really, really down.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess that's a good question. I didn't even think about like how many other people are left in the train cars ready to go. So we don't really know what their meat, the amount of meat they have and cattle they have at the moment. But
They'll survive.
Yeah. But we do get the flashback, though, to what you were talking about, which was that Gareth talking to Mary as they're taking out a girl, screaming not again, so presumably to rape her, saying it's okay, and that they'll be okay. And she says why, and he tells her, you're either the butcher or the cattle.
Yeah.
And that was her line to Carol, so that's where she got that line from.
Well, you know, again, this whole thing's interesting.
Their mentality.
We get to see that Terminus actually was supposed to be at first a good place.
Yeah.
And that Gareth, it seems like Gareth at one point was a good guy, even though we definitely got to see him being very robotic in that scene when everyone lined up to die.
Yeah.
And we see that he doesn't really seem to be very accommodating or willing to listen to anybody else's reason. So I think those two scenes in particular add a lot of depth to his character.
Definitely. It shows how much that event has affected him, and it's carried over, and possibly he's just much more worse than the guys that took over Terminus the first time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, if you look at the way Rick has turned out from the past couple of seasons, I mean, you know, I think it's something to say, you know, he could have turned into a Gareth given the right circumstances.
I have a prediction about that, but...
Well, we'll talk about it in a moment. Before we go into predictions, let's talk about what some of the chat's talking about, which is this moment after the upcoming scene, because that's really upcoming episode. This this tag.
It was very strange.
Yeah, it was like a random tag at the end of the episode, which is still part of the episode where we see Morgan.
Here's a question for you before you even say that. I know some people don't like to hear about scenes from the upcoming season. Is that considered a teaser? Or is that considered part of the episode?
I consider this to be a tag as part of the episode.
Yeah,
okay, cool. All right.
It was very much a scene
in the thing. Okay.
Yeah, like it wasn't like a flashing like, and this is what's happening. This was a very drawn out scene.
Okay.
Where it's like, I don't know. It's almost like
I just want to throw that out there in case anyone turned off the TV right before scenes from the upcoming season.
I'm sure that happened.
It's like seeing the character that you're going to see in the Avengers 2
Exactly.
after the
It's like the shawarma scene. I know it's like the shawarma scene in the Avengers. I know, I get that. I just want to make that clear in case anyone turned off the TV and missed that, because I actually was one of the people who didn't see that. You had to tell me about it.
So yeah, we should then clarify that. Good point. That this is a tag after the previews, upcoming previews, and it seemed to be a tag that was still part of the episode. So if you don't want to hear that about that tag, that's what we're talking about now. Even though I already said the name, but Morgan is back.
Morgan Jones.
I tried to stop you, but he did. It's okay.
I was like, I'm on my rampage of talking right now. There's no stopping this train. There's no stop. I've got my gas mask on, like Morgan. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
So Morgan comes up to this no sanctuary sign, very clearly following the entire group, who seem to have like X's marked on the trees too.
I think I read after we watched the show that he's tracking them. It seems like he's been tracking the group.
Yeah, it does seem to be that.
Yeah. So I mean, once he finds them, he'll see how many of them there are and that they're pretty strong and everything. But yeah, I think he's been trying to keep tabs on them and find them.
Yeah, I think so too. So then the question then becomes, is he going to be crazy or is he going to be good at this point?
Yeah.
So let's get, speaking of that, maybe we should go to predictions. Unless you want to say something else.
No, we'll do predictions first.
Okay, so
I got news and gossip.
Yeah, so we're going to do predictions, then we'll do, maybe we should do news and gossip first then. I didn't know you had news and gossip.
Well, not news, just to talk about the Walker Stalker thing.
Oh, let's talk about that now before people tune out for predictions.
Okay, that's
sorry. We'll do predictions in a moment. We got some sort of like gossipy news. Well, not even necessarily that.
It's some little news stuff, but it's more like news and a contest. So for those of you who have subscribed to us on iTunes, first of all, thank you very much, and please rate us 5 stars. We'd love to hear from you, and same thing on YouTube now that we start a new season. This past Thursday, I interviewed one of the organizers for Walker Stalker Con, which is the I guess I don't know if it's the official or unofficial Walking Dead convention. It's really, really awesome, and you can listen to that on iTunes. We also have it up on our YouTube channel, and they lots of great stuff. Walker Stalker Convention in Atlanta next weekend, which is the 17th through the 19th. But it's a convention that's actually traveling around. It's going to be in a bunch of different cities in the next 12 months, actually. I have them all written down here because there's a reason for this. December 13th and 14th, the Walker Stalker Con is going to be in New York and New Jersey. So I'm guessing that's the Meadowlands for those New Yorkers. January 31st through February 1st in San Francisco. February 21st and 22nd in Chicago. I'll say the rest of the dates in a second, but here's the point. So we actually, from our interview, got some VIP passes for the Walker Stalker Con. So we'd love to give those out. What I'd love to see is, we didn't really have a trivia question lined up, but how about this? So if you go on our YouTube channel, if you're not familiar where it is, just do a search for AFTERBUZZ Walking Dead, and you should be able to see that. And under this episode, which is season 5, episode 1, No Sanctuary, if you can post in the comments and post that you're interested in these, you can we will give somebody at random these VIP passes, and you don't have to be in Atlanta next weekend to use them. In other words, you have to be in one of these cities, either Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, San Francisco, Chicago, Dallas, Orlando, or Boston. That's where the Walker Stalker Con is, and every single one, the one next week is phenomenal. It has like every single actor from The Walking Dead, but all of these are going to feature actors from The Walking Dead, a lot of big names. I'm not going to go through them right now because we don't have that much time, but I'm going to put them up on the YouTube channel as well. In comments, I'll put up the dates, but it's December in New York, January in San Francisco, February in Chicago, Dallas in March, Orlando in June, and Boston all the way in August. But yeah, it's really awesome. So thank you to Eric Norduff and to James, who wasn't on the show on Thursday, for giving these tickets. And again, if you live in those cities, comment on YouTube and we'll pick you at random, and I'll reach out to you.
So you have lots of choices. Where to many possible places to be.
Sorry, but that's our news and gossip.
All right, so predictions now, for real. So let's go ahead and go through predictions fast, so then we'll do some brief comic book stuff after that for people who don't want any of the comic stuff. So predictions real quick. Morgan, do you think that he is going to be a villain here, or do you think that he's going to be crazy still, or do you think he's going to actually be good on a course to redemption?
I mean, it's weird to me that he's alone.
Yeah.
So part of me feels like maybe that will... maybe that kind of tells me that he's kind of on the evil side, or that he won't really welcome the group if he finds them with, kindness and willingness to help necessarily, or just show up with a little skepticism towards them. So I don't know. I feel like it's just strange that he's by himself.
Yeah.
It doesn't give me a good feeling.
I want to see Gordon be okay and join the group. I would love to see that, but I also think that because he's walking toward Terminus and toward Gareth, that I could also see, if he's crazy, I could see him bonding with, I'm going to call them the Butchers, because I think that's a good name for this possible group that might, this faction, because I'm guessing I'm sure we'll see Gareth again, and possibly some of his people. So yeah, I could see him possibly in some kind of alliance with Gareth. I mean, they just lost a whole bunch full of people in this battle, and Morgan's walking, he has no idea what just happened, and it's quite possible that Gareth might need,
a leader?
Need somebody. Yeah. I don't know about a leader. I don't know about Morgan leading, but Morgan joining Gareth. I think Gareth's obviously the leader.
Someone who can set really awesome traps.
I feel like if Morgan's been by himself this whole time, he has a few, bits of experience under his belt that he could easily commandeer Terminus from Gareth. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Not necessarily like commandeer, but just sort of become the leader.
I just think Morgan's looking for a faction to be a part of, and I think he's going to run into Gareth first, and I could see for some reason them bonding.
All right, and then real quick, Abraham. So what we saw was Abraham talking to Rick about what's at risk. So that makes me assume kind of what we're talking about before, that Abraham was going to try to get them to join his cause with Eugene. And we see this town and this church in next week's episode. So obviously some friction happening there. But let's go ahead and do some comic book stuff. So if you guys don't want to hear any comic book stuff at all or references talked about, tune out now. That's why we saved it for the very last.
We should stop now.
Tune out now.
We should do a bumper for that.
Yeah, seriously. How about...
There's going to be spoilers for me. I didn't finish the comic.
Spoiler alert!
Yeah, there you go.
Spoiler alert!
The show's different enough that you're not going to really...
that's what I figured.
But I do want to ask you first, how far into the comic books did you get?
Just the first 2 volumes.
Oh, so you're definitely,
I'm way
you're
behind.
Gonna get spoils.
All right, guys, if anyone's been watching and watched tonight's episode and you've read the comic books up to at least the Negan arc, you guys are probably squealing at the very final scene with the then, because they would not have shown that had they were not cluing into Gareth coming back and there being a reason for Gareth coming back. So if I can give a prediction, guys, if that's cool. Total spoiler, comic book style, guys. I think the guy who says, be the butcher, be the cattle, is Negan. They wouldn't have done the lighting in such a way where you couldn't really see his face otherwise. And the fact that Gareth comes back, I think we see that in the preview for this season where Gareth comes back and is working with Rick. Even he's like you don't have to like it, but we're together in this. I think Gareth sees in Rick's group a possibility for revenge on Negan for doing what he did to them in Terminus. And I think they took over Terminus while Negan wasn't there. And I think he's going to use Rick's group because Rick could do the right thing after that and bring the humanity back, that he wants to use Rick to get revenge on this greater evil.
I think we're still too far along to get to Negan, honestly. I mean, you talked about this I guess off camera the other day about, them casting for Negan, about possibly getting Kevin Durand. So I think we're still a little ways off from anything being Negan.
But this scene could have been filmed at any time, Nando. It was so thrown in there.
I agree with that. I just think it's still far along. I mean, we still haven't seen, Seth Gillum yet as Father Gabriel. I still think we got a ways to go before we get to Negan. But I mean, that's just my thought. I mean, that's your prediction.
But I
can't discredit your prediction. It's your prediction.
Prediction is wrong.
Another nod to the comic book is the fact that they had Glenn be next in line for the baseball bat to the head.
To say that.
And then the fact that Glenn was using a baseball bat after that.
Can I just say, yeah, I wanted to say that. That's what I've been holding out for the whole thing. That was so awesome. First of all, not once, but twice we almost saw Glenn bite it with that baseball bat, which really had me on the edge. But then to see him, out of all the weapons that he was using, that baseball bat was really, really huge.
Yeah.
And I'm sure anyone, and this is what's great about the show, anyone who's been reading the comic books got a really good reward as far as being able to see this episode and be on the edge of your seat.
Well, I watch in bed. I don't know about you. But
at the edge of your bed. At the edge of your bed to see this. I thought that was phenomenal, and I love that. And kudos to
Robert
Scott. Kudos to Robert Kirkman. Kudos to anyone who thought that up, because I mean that was all the conversation from the Comic-Con trailer as well that I didn't want to bring up. The fact that Bob might be dead, and that people saw that baseball bat and really thought Glenn was going to bite it.
Oh,
yeah. So kudos to the way they did that.
Also, a little bit of news, guys, because we didn't mention it. This Walking Dead was picked up for season 6 before the first episode of season 5 even aired.
I didn't know that. There we go. Lots of news. All right.
Gossip.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you guys next time. Once again, I'm Dave Klein. You can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That is Klein.
You can go first, right?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at JAJOURI on the Monday Night Gotham podcast and the Tuesday Night Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast.
Awesome. And you can find me at Twitter and Instagram, Nandovel, Nandovel. You can also find me here for Homeland and Blacklist and Scorpion.
I'll see you guys next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.